All right, let's get to the second round pick. It was Renardo, the man they called Duda Green. He grew up in was it Apapalca, Florida, northwest of Orlando. Started playing football at the age of 5, grew into a standout running back throughout Pop Warner in middle school, then went to Wekiva High School, teammates with Tyler Davis, who's in this draft, the defensive tackle,
Hmm.
and played varsity as a freshman. And then he played quarterback on the JV squad, moved to corner full time for the first time in his career as a sophomore in high school, earned a starting role on the varsity, also saw time at wide receiver and return man, and then had a standout senior year, and wound up at Florida State. He was a 3-star recruit, number 47 cornerback in the 2019 recruiting class, and the number 56 player overall in the state of Florida, which is incredible considering how many great players there are in Florida. Then he got a scholarship offer from Tulane. And after his junior season, I guess the recruiting took off. And then G Tech came knocking, and Kentucky, and Miami, and Missouri, and Carolina, and Central Florida. But he visited Tallahassee for the Florida State 2018 spring game and fell in love with the Seminoles. So he got an offer from Willie Taggart. Taggart brought in a lot of good talent, by the way.
Hmm.
And called it his dream school. He flirted with Ohio State, but stayed there at Florida State. And I really love the temperament of Willie Green. This is one of my favorite players in the draft, just because I was looking at it and just going, you know what? Why is this guy? Many of the draft guides, coach, had this guy listed in like the 5th round. And you know what? You could see just watching him that he had a lot more than 5th round ability. So he goes late second to the 49ers. And I really like this player. I think this is a really nice, he's not like the world's greatest athlete. He's a pretty average athlete by NFL standards. He's quicker than he is fast. And maybe that's part of it, but he's smooth and he's twitchy and he's confident. And to me, if he can just not be so grabby, he was flagged for 11 penalties. To me, Renardo Green could be an outstanding corner for the 49ers. He's patient. He can play press man. He can play zone. There's not a lot of wasted movement in his turn. He's tough. He can jam receivers at the line of scrimmage. He's got good body control down the field. I really like him. I think what I like the most is the confidence. Renardo Green, if you watched him at Florida State, he plays with tremendous confidence. So I like that pick a lot. What did you think of Green, the corner in round 2?
I like it. It's somebody that we need on the outside. Right now, we got to understand why he's here. He's not going to be a zone corner. All right, this is a man corner. This is going to be a lock side corner. Willing tackler, very physical, but he hasn't put it all together yet. He's really good against the run near the line of scrimmage, but coming from depth up against the line of scrimmage against the run, he lunges. You could tell that he brings a lot to the party. Sometimes he just finds the wrong address. He's grabby. And mostly I've watched some film on him. Almost every touchdown that I've seen on him is a fade. He has a real big problem with fades. So that's the bad stuff, because there's a ton of good. All right. He's athletic, a willing tackler. He plays with great anticipation, stays in phase, has fluid hips, very good feet. He's got a good trigger from getting out of phase at the top of routes, triggering on the ball. One thing that
looked great against the LSU receivers in that game.
Oh yeah, he did amazing against, who was that? Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas, I believe.
Yeah, he locked up Neighbors on the goal line.
Had an amazing had an amazing game against LSU. Also, he had some safety. He has a little bit of safety experience.
Safety. He played 2 years at safety.
So he had some safety experience. I mean, if we look at his change of direction, being able to stay with different receivers is elite. That's something that I've seen from him, where his ability to stay in phase is something that we're never going to have a problem with him. He flows and bends with the route, stays with receivers. He's always in their pocket. And one thing that I like about him is that he chokes off at the catch point. So he's always going to be there in short, intermediate passing routes, slants, now routes, screens. I mean, he's going to be your demon near the line of scrimmage.
He's a lot more physical at the line than you would think for a guy who doesn't, he's not the biggest guy.
Mm-hmm. The only thing about him is that he struggles when he carries vertical receivers, and he really struggles when he carries vertical receivers deep. So that's something that we're going to have to help him with. That's kind of the reason why he was there for us and didn't get drafted earlier. Honestly, if he had that situation kind of handled in his game where it's in a little, I hate to say this, but in a way, he kind of has the Ambry Thomas issue. Remember when Ambry, his issue was he would be in phase. He would stay in the hip pocket. He would be pushing the receiver to the sideline, but he just could not locate the ball. He could never locate the ball. Never. And we got a little bit of this with Renardo. He has an issue. He does everything perfect, runs in phase, stays in the hip pocket, but sometimes he'll panic and face guard instead of simply just turning around and locating the ball. So these are some small things that not small, but these are some issues that I feel like are fixable. But as far as like the player is concerned, he's a dog. We got a dog. He's going to play hard. So I feel good about it.
Yeah, no, he definitely. To me, it's the temperament that sets him apart. He was a 2-year starter at Florida State, and he played the perimeter. And Adam Fuller was the DC there, and they luckily for the Niners, they do play at Florida State kind of balanced coverages across the board. They play a lot of man, they play off man, they play zone, they play two high, they play single high. I mean, they mix it up. So this guy's been exposed to a lot. I kind of wonder if this is their answer at free safety, if they can't find a free safety, because to me that, they're one injury away from, well, who do you want to play at free safety? George Odom or who's a career special teamer, a good one at that, but a career special teamer, or somebody like Renardo Green, who, maybe can't get on the field at corner because of the depth, but might be able to get on the field right away at free safety.
And I think that's a poignant question that I feel like one of you guys need to ask Kyle and John. Is Renardo Green at corner? He's a very good prospect, but at safety, he could find himself a permanent home for us.
He could be a very dominant cover guy, because
yes,
you talked about the questionable long speed, and I think that down the field, that is kind of his weakness. That's in yes, we know he's got the coverage ability to play safety. The question is, does he see it? Does he play the right angles? That kind of thing.
Yes.
Yeah, and if you take bad angles as a safety, it's a huge play. But I love the confidence. I love the swagger. I love this guy's ability to mirror top players down the field. I love the fact that he's been in a kind of a scheme versatile type system. So he's played in a lot of different schemes, but I love that play personality. I love that competitive fire, because you can't coach that. You know what I mean? If a guy doesn't have that super swag, competitive fire, it ain't going down like that kind of an attitude.
Yeah. Like we ain't having it.
You're not putting it, you're not going to give it to him. You're not going to, I talked to him and now he's like that. Now he's a dog. No. You either are or you aren't. And I think this guy really is. And I love the confidence that he played with, even against some of the best players. I mean, it's like Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas, these are two of the best receivers in all of college football, maybe the best. And he stood up against those guys and was like, hey, man, I'm in your class. It's not like I belong on the field with you. So this is going to be an all-day sucker, and you better be ready for my physicality. And he tied them up on the goal line. I mean, all the hand fighting. I love the competitive fire.
I mean, you take that physicality, right? Think about it. Like one thing that we like about his game is that he's physical, but he's almost physical to a fault, right? You watch his game. You take that physicality at corner, and you take that and you shift it to safety. it's almost perfect, right? Like
Yeah.
he wants to hit. If you see how he comes up in the run game, it comes in run fits. You could tell that if he was 30 pounds heavier, he'd be a hell of a will. Like it's this, you could tell that he wants physicality. If you put him at free safety, we may be giving him exactly what he wants. But again, he's got to see the field. He's got to be able to see the angles. But with that 4.49 speed back there, that's more than enough speed at safety. All right. If he knows his angles with that physicality coming in from depth, that I don't know. We may be looking at our next free safety. We don't know.